Hey everybody, I'm Steve Ninja. Tonight I've got Wade Markey with me again, the number one Spider-Man fan I know. And tonight we're going to talk about, give some major spoilers about Spider-Man, and some Wade wanted to share some experiences he's had. It's like I said, number one fan, so he's got a long history of Spider-Man, starting with the comic books when he was a kid, and he's much more of a fan than I am. So Wade, go ahead and let our fans know what you know about Spider-Man, what it means to you.
Hey, YouTube fans and Spidey fans of all ages out there. I am a huge Spider-Man fan, and I have been since I was a kid. And just to show you this off, I got this at the Spider-Man 2 premiere back in 2004 when this movie came out. So these actually appear in Spider-Man 3 in one scene. So I got the foam fingers with the Spidey web shooter there. So wanted to show that off, but this goes way back in time to where I was 5 or 6 years old, and my favorite hero of all time became Spider-Man. And when I was a kid, I had 70 Spidey toys, Mego doll, some figures, and I want to show off this to you guys is an autograph picture of me when I was a young kid, 5 or 6 years old, and Spidey's autograph, your pal Spidey. And there's me. And I'm actually wearing a tie-dye Hulk shirt in that picture, if you can see. So that is a deep dive into my history of Spidey since I was a kid. I'm a lifelong fan, super fan of Spider-Man. And so I know we're here to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, the latest Spider-Man film, which, in my opinion, is the greatest Spider-Man movie ever made. And
Right.
We're going to talk about the details of that movie, and I'm sure everybody has seen it by now. If you haven't, there's going to be some spoilers here with this video, so be prepared.
Yeah, in the U.S., I mean, a lot of people in the U.S., I don't know about most people, but I've seen it 4 times. I think you've seen it 4 times also. You said you saw it in IMAX as well, right?
Yeah, last time I saw it was in IMAX, and yeah, that was my 4th time seeing it.
Yeah, if I were to see it again, it would be in a true IMAX. We have there's only one true IMAX that we have in our city, in Indianapolis, and the one with a big screen. Like most of the AMC's claim they have IMAX, but usually it's a slightly larger screen than the other theaters that they have in their building. The other auditoriums, and so, but we have one that's like huge, like you can't even see the top and bottom, or can't see the bottom necessarily. We're just where you're sitting, so you really get immersed into the movie when you go see it there. So if I were to see it again, it would be in that AMC theater. If I were to see it a 5th time, I think it's supposed to come out on Blu-ray, I think on March 15th, I believe. At least that's the rumor right now. I don't know if that's true, but I think Sony wants to get it out as soon as possible, I'm sure. Kind of capitalize on that. It's in the COVID era, that this movie is like broken records. Like it's amazing what people got out of left their houses to go see this movie, multiple times. So
and it's number 8 domestically of all time. It just hit number 8 today, past I think the Avengers. It's number 8.
Right.
Which is amazing in this pandemic era, and people seeing it multiple times, and just making it's over $1 billion worldwide, and just a testament to the fans out there, and to create the most amazing, no pun intended, Spider-Man film ever made.
Yeah, and I don't think it's even premiered in China yet. So China's like a huge market, and it hasn't even premiered there yet, as far as I know. Some countries have kind of delayed it because of COVID, so it has a potential to make even more money. So I assume they want to get it out before the Blu-ray comes out, because they want people to see it in the theater. So hopefully they can see it before March. So yeah, and I think you and I both probably agree Spider-Man 2 was probably the best Spider-Man until this movie was released. I mean, they had to bring out the big guns, all the villains, and they had to bring out the other two previous Spider-Man characters. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire had to come out of retirement to make this big. And it's funny because we had Into the Spider-Verse was released in 2018, and obviously it kind of brought the idea that there could be more than one Spider-Man person playing that character.
Definitely took inspiration from that, I think, for the idea of this. And plus, with WandaVision, they were already going with multiverse, so it's all going to tie into that and to the next Doctor Strange film as well. So, but yes, you're correct. My favorite Spider-Man movie before this one was Spider-Man 2, which I have the poster behind me there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I thought was the greatest Spider-Man movie, and still it's up there. It's a 4-star movie for me, because I grade on 4 stars.
Right.
Old school 4 stars. I know a lot of people do 5 stars now these days, but I go back old school Roger Ebert days. 4-star ratings is the highest,
Right. Yeah, I do Letterboxd. I mean, a lot of people on YouTube put their reviews on Letterboxd, and they go by a 5-star rating. 5-star, and you can put a heart on it as well if you really like it. So I've been filling out my list on there with movies that I consider to be 5 stars, and Spider-Man 2 would definitely rank up there. And I immediately, after I saw No Way Home, I gave it 5 stars that night, like 5 stars and a heart. Like, it's like, I like this movie a lot. It ranks up there with, Infinity War and Endgame to me, at that level of having that many characters and just being exciting. I really, I like Tom Holland a lot. He's probably my favorite Spider-Man so far, but I didn't like Homecoming and Far From Home as much. I've never owned those movies on Blu-ray or anything, so I liked them a lot more than the Andrew Garfield movies, but the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. So I liked them more than that. But this is the first Tom Holland, basically it's like a solo movie, and he had a lot of support, a lot of help with other characters. But this is probably my favorite one Spider-Man movie that he's been in. And he's great in Civil War and Infinity War.
Yeah. So you mentioned the other ones not liking them as well, the Garfield ones, but I think this film makes these other films even better, even the lesser of the films, Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Amazing Spider-Man, because Andrew Garfield's part in this, I feel a lot of people feel this way too. And the reviews I've read and videos that I've watched, that Garfield kind of steals the show in this movie, and he does to a certain extent, and he's great in it. And now there's, fans want an Amazing Spider-Man 3. And they're also wanting a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we'll get that or not. It would be awesome if we do.
It could happen. Yeah, it could happen. I think that Andrew Garfield benefited the most out of the 3, because like they said, Amazing Spider-Man was, some people thought that was just Sony's effort to try to keep the license to the character. They maybe kind of threw it out there. I think he gave everything he had in those 2 movies. I thought he's even better in Amazing Spider-Man 2, even though the story I thought was terrible, and the villains I didn't like. Jamie Foxx. I think he benefited from this movie as well. I think Electro was much better in this movie, and it wasn't that. But I thought Andrew Garfield really gave it everything he had in Amazing Spider-Man 2. But yeah, he's better in this movie just because just to be ahead the other 2 Spider-Man characters to kind of bounce off of. I thought that was really nice. And one of the spoilers I had from this movie was, I remember I told you that, like, the Wednesday, I saw it on a Thursday, the day before, somebody on YouTube had spoiled that Andrew Garfield had taken MJ, and that happened. That was something specific, even though I knew Andrew Garfield was going to be in the movie. I thought,
I didn't actually know that, and I'm glad I didn't know that, but it was a redemption for him, heartfelt scene for him saving MJ, because he could not save Gwen Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I thought that scene in Amazing Spider-Man was heartbreaking, because I thought the strong points of those 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies were Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. Great chemistry together, and I thought they both gave great performances to those 2 characters, and so you actually cared a lot about them as a couple, and then having to lose Gwen Stacy, which is accurate to the comics because the Green Goblin does kill Gwen Stacy in the comic books. So very comic accurate, and we got that. We got a form of that attempt in the first Spider-Man movie with Mary Jane, Kirsten Dunst, and Goblin drops her. So that can lead into the strong point of villains in Spider-Man No Way Home. I thought you had Alfred Molina coming back to do Dr. Octopus, which he didn't miss a beat. You had Willem Dafoe coming back to do the Green Goblin. And I thought he was even more sinister and evil in this one. And just created an awesome foe for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And we can get to a very emotional scene that happens. And actually, we probably shouldn't give that one away because I think this one is the most emotional scene. And it went on for a good 5 minutes, maybe, the scene. Well, I don't know, not totally 5 minutes, but it was a few minutes, and it made me cry. And I've never been that emotional in any Marvel film.
Yeah, I mean, we could spoil it. I mean, we're doing a spoiler, so we could talk about it. I mean, I thought when his glider hit Aunt May, I thought, well, she's not going to survive that. Like, there's no way. And then she kind of gets up, and you thought, oh, maybe she's going to be okay. And that didn't seem realistic. And then she said, I needed to kind of sit down and kind of collect myself. And yeah, at that point, you thought, oh, here you go. And it was really emotional the way Tom Holland kind of reacted to losing his aunt that way. He's like in tears, and I thought it was one of his best performances as Spider-Man, even though was this like his 5th time or 6th time playing the character, because he was in Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame.
It would be his 6th time. That's right. Yeah.
I thought it was the most emotional, and people thought the other movies, he was kind of, Tony Stark was kind of leading the charge in those movies. And this is like his first time where he was headed by himself. And I thought he did really well. And I remember him saying 2 years ago that he thought they should have all 3 Spider-Men in one movie. And I don't know if that was just influenced by Into the Spider-Verse, that he came from that, or Sony wanted him to get that out there to try to get people excited about it, and maybe get the other 2 actors to possibly do it, just to get the idea out there. But he said we should have all three of us in one movie. And I thought, oh, wow, that would be amazing to bring the other 2 actors back, and they just bring them on. I thought that was a really great idea. This movie had some of the best lines of any of the Marvel movies I've seen, like like when they're talking about going to MIT in Boston, and they said they have crime in Boston, don't they? And then Ned says, "Wicked crime, yeah, wicked crime." That's great. I thought the one,
which I thought his, Ned, his humor in all 3 of the Spider-Man movies was great. I thought I thought his performance in this one was probably the best for the Ned character. And you really felt their friend. I mean, you felt their friendship in all 3 films, but then when Parker had to have Doctor Strange have everybody forget that he's Spider-Man, and forget who he is, and he loses his friends and with no memory of him. Very sad moment, because he tells them, and then they all hug it out and cry, and that's definitely an emotional scene as well that brought a lot of people to tears, including myself.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, so after Aunt May dies, they go from really down point, and then like right after is when they show Ned and MJ at Ned's was a grandmother's apartment or grandmother's house, and that's when he brings Andrew Garfield into the fold.
Right. Yeah.
The crowd just went crazy when I saw it. Like I said, I saw it on Thursday night, so it was like a kind of preview kind of crowd that I'm pretty sure nobody had seen it at that point.
So that's interesting, because since I've seen it 4 different times, got round of applause on both of them. But then one time I saw it, we didn't get any round of applause for Andrew Garfield, but we got a standing applause not standing, but a big applause for Tobey Maguire. So it's kind of interesting, depending on the crowd, who maybe that was an older crowd in there that remembered, you know, um,
Yeah.
McGuire more as Spider-Man, and you know, he was the
I've heard
original.
some people say that there were a lot of repeat viewings. People had seen the movie more than once. So by the time the second or third time I had seen it, a lot of people I got the impression a lot of people had already seen it in the theater. So they were less excited about it. It's more like smiles instead of laughter. You know, like you kind of tell people were excited, but it wasn't something new. They had already seen it before, and that was a big deal. And I thought it was a good move to have Andrew Garfield in the Spidey suit and not have Tobey Maguire in the Spider-Man suit. I thought that was a good idea. That he's just wearing street clothes, and and they were like, somehow I ended up here, you know, and so I thought that was a great moment in the movie.
Well, also it also made for a good joke with, you know, preacher in street clothes or whatever the joke was that
cool you pastors, and it's like they said that what another dimension or whatever snow had come in there and they had to shovel it up, like you know.
Yes.
I wonder why they couldn't just magically make that go disappear. I don't know, maybe the snow just coming in constantly and they couldn't stop it at that point, but it made it funny to just you know, keep shoveling, you know, that his sidekick, whatever, I forget the character's name, Wong says to keep shoveling over there, and then now he says he's the supreme, what is he?
Sorcerer Supreme.
Sorcerer Supreme,
because Doctor Strange blipped.
Yeah, he was gone for 5 years.
Wong is Sorcerer Supreme.
He seems to like not. Wong seems to be like a nag, and Doctor Strange is his life. And it's like, what if Wong hears about this, or whatever? You know, he's kind of worried about what Wong's gonna give him problems. You know, whenever he makes a mistake, because Wong kind of tells him don't do that, and Doctor Strange does it anyway. So Stephen, you know, so that was great. So what are some other moments you remember in the movie?
Yeah. So again, we've already talked about the big emotional ones, but just the you know, the fight scene with Doctor Strange and Spidey. I thought that was great, and how Tom Holland outsmarted Doctor Strange to leave him there, and you know, I thought that was a great scene.
And the cape,
right?
His cape was falling. I've seen that before. I don't know, was that in Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange? I think the cape had like a mind of its own.
Right, it did.
Yeah, that's what he does in the comics, right? Where you can just kind of, the cape will what's the cape normally do? Does it like attach itself to people and kind of lift them off the ground and take them out of action? Or I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things they can do. Yeah,
like he did that with Ned. You know, in this movie, the cape lifted him up and dropped him down gently, and then Ned said, "Thank you." Was it Mr. Cape, sir? Or something like that?
Yeah, Mr. Cape. Yes, yeah. Another scene I thought was when Alfred Molina appears as Doc Ock there at the interstate scene where they're all stuck in traffic. I mean, we saw it in the trailers, but we got the full fight scene, which I thought was awesome, and so that was a highlight action scene that I loved.
Saw in the trailer as well. And you're not Peter Parker or whatever. Like you didn't recognize.
Yeah, hello Peter.
Hello Peter.
Yeah, and then Willem Dafoe appears in his goblin outfit, and then
smashes.
And there's a great line that I loved when Holland said, "What's a green elf? A green elf?" He said it's a. So I thought that was pretty funny. I think he said green elf. Yeah, green elf. And
yeah, that's something like that. I know the first time we saw was a goblin. What do they call it? The grenades or whatever. The
pumpkin bomb.
Pumpkin bombs. Yeah, you saw the bomb. You didn't really know that it was going to be Willem Dafoe necessarily. I mean, you assumed it was. They didn't show his face.
Yeah, I know. And what surprised me about that scene is it cut away from that. I thought there was going to be another action scene with Goblin, but I'm kind of glad they went the route they did, because it showed him trapped because Doctor Strange captured all of them, including the lizard. And,
Yeah, then they went back to Green Goblin, and then they showed the mask that a lot of people kind of hated from the first Spider-Man movie, and
yeah, they felt it looked like two Power Ranger villain.
Yeah, and they made Green Goblin look a little more like the comics in this movie. He had the goggles and had the hood, and
yeah, the purple and green. Yeah, the sweatshirt got ripped up during a fight, and so it gave him that tattered look. More of a more recent Goblin, how he looks like in the comics, But yeah, Willem Dafoe looks like the Green Goblin. He doesn't need to wear a mask. He's that good of an actor. He's like Jekyll and Hyde with that character. And I thought
he doesn't look that much different than he did back then. that was
not really. No, he's in great shape, and he's still, one of his prerequisites for this role is that he said, I wanted to do all my stunts again, and so he did all of his stunts, minus the CGI stuff, of course. Yeah. But
he's in his early 60s now, so he does have to keep himself in good shape to be able to do that at his age. So that was fantastic. And then he disappeared until like near the end of the movie. Like he got a lot of screen time in this, but he was kind of there a lot early and then kind of gone for a period of time, and then showed up again in the big battle at the end. And he stabbed Tobey Maguire in the back, which I don't know if you. When I saw that, I thought, well, you can't kill him with a stabbing. He said it looks like
I was. It's interesting you bring that up, because I was reading something on that scene, and I think originally they were going to kill off Maguire with that stab scene. Yeah, and that was going to kill him, but there might be a deleted scene on the Blu-ray 4K when that comes out. Maybe. Again, that's just a rumor, but I read that and it kind of looked like that might have been the intention from the way that was done. So
I would have been disappointed.
I guess we'll find out more when that DVD is released.
Yeah,
maybe they'll talk about it.
That would have been disappointing if they had done that. It's like it's kind of like Star Wars, bring back the old characters and just kill them off, whatever. Just spoiler that. We've done a spoiler review on that too, but on Spider-Man, on Star Wars. So I'm sure people know those movies pretty well. But that would have been disappointing if they had killed them off. It would have been a downer, to where they lost Aunt May. Like, you don't want to see Tobey Maguire get killed too. And so I'm glad they didn't. He just said, I've been stabbed before. It's like no big deal. Right. I mean, I guess they Into the Spider-Verse, they did. They killed Peter Parker off in that that multiverse or whatever. In that universe, they had killed him off. But in general, it's pretty hard to kill Spider-Man, isn't it? He's pretty hard to kill. Have they done that in the comics a lot, to kill Spider-Man?
No, typically in comics they just reboot him, and they keep him younger. I mean, high school and college, and then becomes a young adult, and then as old as I've seen that character in the comics, he was a teacher in the comics. So I don't think I've seen read a Spidey comic where he hasn't been any older than probably his early 30s. Right. And they don't really talk about his age ever,
Yeah, I've asked you that.
They typically with comic books, they reboot them all the time,
right?
For new generations, and
because I've asked you that before, and you said that Spider-Man, Peter Parker does age, but it's very slowly. It doesn't age fast, but Tobey Maguire's in his early 40s now. So and Andrew Garfield, some people thought he may have been too old for the movie right from the start, when he did Amazing Spider-Man, but they do age. A lot of people they want Peter Parker to be like 16, want to be in high school and just be a kid all the time.
Yeah. And going even further back, I said for a number of years, even before the Raimi Spider-Man, when James Cameron was involved with it, I wanted him to get Patrick Dempsey to play him. I thought he would have been a good Spider-Man back in the day.
Yeah.
But I'd read, I think they were eyeing Leonardo DiCaprio for that.
Wow.
I think.
Well,
or maybe it was. They also had a pretty dark script for it with it too. The Cameron script, I guess, was pretty dark.
Well, that brings up a topic though. In this movie, Tobey Maguire has the organic web shooters, and you said that James Cameron came up with that idea. And
That's correct. Yeah, that was in his script, the organic, and that's the only thing they kept from that script was the organic web shooters. And they had a great joke with it in No Way Home. Where else does that come out of?
Yeah, they're like, how do your webs come out that way? Like, I thought that was a great callback. I thought this movie just definitely it had fan service for sure, but it was everything the fans wanted to see. You know, like all that kind of stuff. You know, how the others, how Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland had. I guess they have web shooters. They have like they had to make the shooters.
Yeah, in the comics, Peter Parker makes his own web shooters and web fluid. You know, he's a scientist and he's a genius IQ. He knows science like the back of his hand, and yeah, he just knows how to do that. So yeah, it's great to show them actually the other Parkers in a lab making their making their
yeah, got to show
antidotes for the villains, and to show their scientific knowledge there with chemistry and all that. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, when Ned says Peter Parker, or says Peter, they all look at him. Yeah, right. Peter Parker. Yeah, oh, it was great. That was great. I mean, it was humor in the movie, but the stuff you just remember. This movie has so many memorable scenes in it that you like, oh yeah, I remember that, and that was a great scene. And I thought maybe the only scene that the only joke in the movie that I thought was kind of corny was Aunt May when she asked Doc Ock if he wanted salt water or whatever.
Yeah, that didn't hit very well. Yeah,
I agree with that. That was cheesy, but even that's kind of funny though. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just kind of cheesy. It's just like, where'd they get that from? But it was still kind of funny. It gives her a line to say. That you have so many characters that you have to give them things to say, and then I thought that she had some good lines, and she gave the Uncle Ben speech, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah,
people talked about how this movie kind of gave his origin story, like in the third movie. That's where the other
indeed it did. Yeah, this is definitely his true origin story, and it comes full circle at the end of the movie. He's no longer Iron Man Jr. He's making his own costume again. Well, he never made it. Well, he designed his costume, but he's actually sewing it together, and there's no tech with it at all. It's bare bones, and he's back living on his own. He's back to the true root of Spider-Man, which right. I thought was a great ending to that. Well, I'd like to go back. I'd like to go back to the humor with Garfield and Maguire.
Yeah,
when they give each other numbers. So Holland was Spidey 1, Maguire was Spidey 2, and then Garfield was like, I guess I'm number 3.
I'm
number 3. But I thought the delivery of that was perfect. It was hilarious. Yeah,
but it had a lot of funny, and just right in there when they're in the battle, like they're like, I've never worked in a team before.
Yeah, you're part of the Avengers. What is that?
Is that
a band?
Yeah, I was in the Avengers. You were. That's great. What is that? It's like like that world didn't exist. And then Tobey Maguire. I mean, it did, for comic book fans, but it didn't exist for Sony in 2002. So to bring Avengers into this movie, and the fact that he's worked on a team before Tom Holland has, and the other two had not.
He's like, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I am. I thought it was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, the battles are great. And like I said, they really fixed the Electro character. He was a little scarier and had some great. Jamie Foxx had some great lines in this movie. Somehow they ruined that character in Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, this made him.
They made him too much like a Batman villain from like Batman and Robin, or even Batman Forever a little bit with the Riddler, the way that he was done, his origin. I thought it was pretty much a ripoff.
The dirty character,
though in the there is a version, I think, in the comics, and then even with that MTV CGI TV show they did, the Electro's origin was very similar to that. I thought they actually borrowed from that MTV. I don't know if you ever watched that. It was on MTV. It was an animated Spider-Man show.
I do kind of remember that. I don't remember watching.
It's a very similar origin for Electro in that. Not exactly, but very similar.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought they improved Jamie Foxx immensely for the sequel. We have Thomas Hayden Church. I didn't realize. I thought they were just going to have a CGI, which they did, because I read that he was not on set for any of the scenes. They just used his voice. But I thought it was great they got Thomas Hayden Church back, and then the scenes where they're disappearing at the end, they pulled those from other Spidey films.
Okay.
So
yeah, I thought that was a great way to exit those characters, actually, especially the two Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, just kind of wave goodbye, and they just disappeared and went back to their universe, where they came from. And yeah, it was so Sandman was Thomas Hayden Church. His character is called Sandman, right, from Spider-Man 3.
Flint Marko, right? This isn't right. Yeah.
He's not really a villain so much. He's has the ability to cause problems, and when he saw
they give him a lot in the movies. I feel they've improved that villain from the comics, because in the comics he's just kind of a meathead character. Not a lot of depth to him. But I thought, because Hayden Church is a really good actor, I thought he flashed that character out. And that's one of the bright spots of Spider-Man 3 was his portrayal of Flint Marko. I thought.
Yeah.
So I thought it was great that they got him back.
He didn't get angry until he saw Jamie Foxx disappear. He's like, "What'd you do to him?" or whatever. He's like, he says he doesn't trust anybody. He basically just wants to get back to see his daughter again. So he's kind of a tragic character more than anybody else, any other villain. Kind of a tragic character, and this is supposed to be the Sinister Six, is what they talk about. So you had five.
Sinister Five, technically. In this.
And technically, anybody that saw the mid-credit scene, you saw Venom there with Eddie Brock, and that's something like that. I've kind of wondered how it is. Eddie Brock seemed to go back to his universe apparently, but you saw some of the symbiote on the counter, on the bar counter.
I think they're covering I thought with that they were covering their bases, just in case there's a deal with Sony, and there's so much legal things they have to work out. Mm-hmm. So I think they're just, the MCU is covering their butts with that. So we got the symbiote here, we can have it in the MCU,
and have it.
Tom Hardy could go back to I'm not sure what universe the Venom would be, the Venom films before he was blipped over or transported over. I'm not sure. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of answers to that in Morbius, that is going to come out now in April. So I think we're going to get a lot more explanation and insight on that. And I know that Michael Keaton has filmed additional Vulture scenes for Morbius, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, that was the one thing at Homecoming. Michael Keaton kind of made a character that was, I thought that character, the Vulture character, was okay, but if he hadn't played it, I don't know if I would have liked it as much. Just because Michael Keaton, we just all grew up with him as Batman, and so he kind of filled that character in a little more. But it was kind of not a great villain necessarily, but he he was trying to fight for his family basically, and now he's in prison. And but yeah, he's in Morbius. He has at least, I don't know if he's in that movie a lot or just a few cameos in that movie or what. He's in prison, so
I think with the reshoots that they're adding scenes, I bet they're giving him a bigger part. It probably was originally going to be just a cameo, but I bet they're going to give him a bigger part now, since they're doing some reshoots and additional scenes with him.
Yeah, because I did a video last night about Morbius. It was supposed to come out on January 28th. Now it's on, like you said, April 1st. So who knows? I gave all these dates last night. Different movies are supposed to come out this year, but now because of COVID, who knows if these dates are going to change around now. Just like I think Scream, is locked. I don't want to get into that necessarily, but I think that movie is locked. But a lot of other movies could move around potentially if COVID continues to be a problem.
Let's talk about I've given this a lot of thought with No Way Home, and I think it's worthy of Oscar nomination. I hope it gets. I'm not saying it should win,
right?
But I think it should get a Best Picture nomination. Give it a nomination.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I think it deserves it, and I hope the Academy does give it at least a nomination. I think that would be an awesome thing, and maybe that would show Scorsese and
Yeah.
and
Christopher Nolan. Was it Christopher Nolan? So
no, Scorsese and
was that Ridley Scott? Ridley Scott, yeah.
Ridley Scott,
Yeah.
To prove to them, and that comic films are works of art and it's real cinema. And I think their comments are jealousy and envy, maybe, I don't know, but
Yeah.
These other directors don't put their films down.
Yeah.
They respect their films, and they don't badmouth them, and they respect them as filmmakers. And I love both those directors.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just a new wave of movies. I mean, I talked about last night how there's going to be 5 Marvel movies this year and 4 DC movies coming out this year. So, so if you like comic book movies, this is your year, and they're coming at you because people love them. They go, they make money, so you're going to see them a lot. But I think Black Panther got an Oscar nomination.
Got the nomination. That's right, it did. Yeah,
I don't know if the Immortals. I don't know if that would get a nomination or not. I don't think the critics.
The Eternals.
I'm sorry, Eternals. I don't think that.
I doubt it because it was talked. Feige said it was really tooting its horn before it came out that it was going to be the best picture, but a lot of people didn't like that movie. I personally liked it.
I liked it. Yeah. I liked it for the most part. I saw it twice. I liked it for the most part. It wasn't a standard Marvel movie that Chloe Zhao, she won Best Director and Best Picture last year for Nomadland. So I guess that's why Kevin Feige. I think she had been locked already to do Eternals before Nomadland had been released. So it was. But I think they maybe thought, well, she's an Oscar winner. She just had a Best Picture winner, so she's going to bring that to Marvel, and she definitely brought a different take on it. It wasn't as much action, but I like those characters for the most part. But yeah, I'd be kind of surprised if it got an Oscar nomination. But if they had the Oscar winner and Best Director from the year before, who knows? But yeah, I would love to see No Way Home get a nomination for sure. But yeah, I'd be surprised if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough for them to do that, but I the Oscars have their favorites,
Yeah.
Typically,
Yeah,
typically.
Even people,
but you never know. I mean, they nominated Black Panther. That was a powerful film for many reasons, and
yeah, it had a cultural significance to it, which I thought was deserving. But as far as box office, the people that do Oscar nominations don't really care about box office. What the mass population,
right? They've never cared about that. And they shouldn't care about that. That has no bearing on how good of a film it really is. But I think this is an exception. I mean, it's got a 98% audience rating, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it's one of the biggest critically acclaimed comic films ever made. So I'm hoping it gets some love from the Oscars and gets a nomination.
They like stuff that's culturally significant. I think it is. I think it is to some degree. And during this pandemic era, to get that many people.
Yeah, I mean, there's some themes in this movie that maybe people aren't really. Maybe they've thought about, or maybe they haven't. But giving people second chances. When they were wanting to cure the villains. I mean, that's that's a major theme and social thing, and then the world here, giving people, most people deserve a second chance at most things, unless it's a heinous crime, obviously not, but yeah, so I mean, that's a theme. And just the the emotion of loss, and what someone has to give up, to move on in their life, to keep them safe. And so I mean, there's just so many themes there that I think that transcend just a comic book film in this.
So yeah, that could be considered culturally significant. I mean, I think the last fantasy movie, I don't know if you consider this to be a fantasy movie necessarily, Return of the King, that was like the big Oscar. That was like out of nowhere. Yeah. That was like. And I thought
the reason they got so many is because the other two didn't get as many, And I thought the first one, Fellowship, was the best one out of those three, personally, for me. But I thought that was the Oscars saying, okay, for all three movies, we're going to nominate, give it this, and it's going to win, and it's,
Yeah, I talk about that
most Oscars that one did, and including Best Picture, which I was ecstatic. I was like, oh my gosh, it won.
Yeah, I mean, those movies, the Lord of the Rings movies, have been around for decades, but at that time, I'm getting off the subject a little bit, but Roger Ebert and Richard Roeper hated the first one, and then they slowly like Two Towers, and then by the time the third movie was out, they were on board. I don't know if maybe they didn't know the story that well. I remember a lot of people thought the movie just ends, like there's no ending to this movie, and I had to tell people there's going to be a 3-part movie, so that the story will continue on. And as the story continued on, critics started to love it even more. So it's a fantasy movie that the Oscars, got on board with, and it just. I remember at that time, Billy Crystal had never been to New Zealand, and Peter Jackson was like, "You should come sometime." And so that movie was kind of a cultural kind of movie. It
was definitely, yeah. I mean, it had legions of fans that read all the books, and it resonated with a lot of people, and it was huge.
Millions, definitely. Yeah. I don't know. So the end of the movie. When I saw it the first time, I thought it reminds me of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, the Jim Carrey movie, where after MJ and Ned, their memories have been, I guess, they don't remember Peter Parker anymore.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Tobey Maguire goes to see MJ at the donut shop, and he's going to give her. He had this note written. He's going to tell her, and he's going to try to. I don't think any way he can make her remember him, but he can kind of fall in love again. If they had chemistry before, just like Jim Carrey in that movie, if they had chemistry before and they loved each other before, then they could do it.
Maybe they would remember each other, right?
Or they may not remember each other, but there's a reason why they fell in love the first time.
Why they fell in love with each other, yeah.
So,
very similar. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember that ending per se, but yeah, I get your point there. I mean, yeah, that's very similar. And I thought Holland's performance in that scene was great. His patience with, he stuffs it back in his pocket, and then he's just he sees the cut on her eye. He's like, "Are you okay?" But then you could tell like there was a connection there with him, because she's like, her performance, Zendaya's performance is great in this too, because you can tell that attraction is there. She doesn't know this guy, but there's something there, and you can tell just in her eyes,
Yeah, I thought Zendaya was the best. I can't even say her name, but she was the best in this movie. Remember the first movie, Homecoming, I thought she had the character, her hair was over her face, and she was kind of introvert. She was an introvert in that, and she kind of was less of an introvert in the second one, and then in this movie she was kind of a co-star in the movie that had a lot of lines and was important to the story.
Yeah, I think her character was just a very guarded character, and she kept herself guarded. But once she let somebody in, her sense of humor comes out, and and her love, and her emotion. So yeah, and it definitely came full circle for her in this movie, I thought. And I thought this was her greatest performance out of the three movies as well.
Yeah. What was her line? Like the disappointed line, never get disappointed, or whatever, or you'll never get disappointed, or never allow yourself to be disappointed. I don't think I wrote that.
What is that? Expect disappointment.
Yeah.
That way you're never disappointed.
Right.
Like that. Yeah.
So yeah, by the time I think they try to say that later. She says, "Forget that. We're gonna
kick ass."
Yeah. Yeah. Kick that ass. Yeah. Whatever that line was. Yeah, that was a great line when they decided where would Peter Parker go, and what was it, Empire State was McGuire and Garfield had Empire State and had the Chrysler Building. They had different places that they like to go to, I guess, unwind or to be alone, to gather their thoughts and not swing all over the city. And MJ knew, I think it was on top of the high school that they went to, like they showed earlier in the movie when everybody in the high school were like, when they found out they knew who Peter Parker was, and they all kind of were treating him differently, and he and MJ had to go up to the roof of the high school to kind of get away from people, and they're about to have a kiss, and then Ned popped in there, and it kind of ruined it a little bit. But those old scenes, I think it's where they were when they showed McGuire and Garfield. They when they popped out. And
it is, yeah.
Top of the high school, so that was great. Any other scenes you want to refer to?
Steve, I think we've covered most of it. But yeah, I just thought Spider-Man No Way Home, the great, and I've got it number one as my favorite superhero film ever made. It's topped Spider-Man 2, and I have it above The Dark Knight because that was up there, my list of all-time best comic films ever made. So it's definitely number one for me now. And yeah, I think we've covered everything. I don't have anything else to cover with the movie. Do you?
Where would you rank Infinity War and Endgame? Would they put that just top 5 somewhere? Or,
definitely the top 5. Yeah. So I've got a list actually. Yeah, I can tell you in a second here.
Dark Knight's a great movie. It was that 2008, whatever. That's still a great comic book based movie, and probably my favorite Batman movie so far. Spider-Man 2 ranks high, and so yeah, those.
Yeah, so I have Infinity War number 2 and Endgame number 3. Okay. As far as I have a ranking of MCU films, but yeah, I'd have to probably put Dark Knight, probably number 4 after those 3 movies. Yeah. Now, if I had it, if I was putting DC films in there too, but that's my MCU film rankings that I put together.
What'd you say? There were like 26 MCU movies now or something? They released like 4 or 5 a year.
27.
27 now.
Yeah, this makes number 27. Yeah. No Way Home makes number 27.
Yeah, that's why, like I said, Marvel's going to have 5 this year. So that's I tell people all the time. That's why I don't really buy those movies anymore. Like it's like they're going to release so many movies. That's definitely what Disney wants you to do, to buy every movie every year. They release 4 or 5 a year. They think people are going to buy them all, and some people do. They call it completionist, people that have to get everything, even if you can see it on Disney Plus. That some people have to have physical media, and they'll buy everything, even if they don't love the movie, even if they'll never watch it again. after they buy it, they might, like with me, I've done that before, where I buy movies, I watch them, like watch it once, maybe I saw it in a theater, I watch it once, then I'll watch it again with a commentary, then I'll never watch it again. It just sits on a shelf and just sits there for. I've had a lot of movies like that I've gotten rid of that I never would watch again. I just got it because I wanted to get the collection. So that's kind of how I've been. But I don't know about you. Do you buy all the MCU movies? Or,
I don't own all of them. I've got most of them. I think I'm missing probably 6 or 7 of them, I think, on physical media. Yeah. I haven't bought, I never bought Black Panther. I don't have Shang-Chi. I don't own Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Black Widow. I think I have everything else though. I think
you have all the Captain America and Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like a lot of those movies seem, for me, kind of seem like setup movies to the big ones. Like this movie, like I love this No Way Home. I have Civil War. I don't have the other 2 Captain America movies. I don't have any of Thor movies. But I used to have Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, and I just didn't like those movies that much, and I got rid of them. I have all the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and I'm definitely going to buy No Way Home. But that's a lock. I'll buy that one for sure. So
Me too. Definitely, I'm buying that one. Definitely.
yeah, it's a movie I can watch over and over again, and I like I said, I would see it again. At least if it were in IMAX, I would check it out again. I don't know if it's still playing IMAX right now, but I assume it is. But with the movies being delayed, I assume they'll keep the big money maker in IMAX theater just because people.
I think that's only going to bode even better for Spider-Man with movies getting delayed now. So, or a few of them, I guess, and including Morbius. So I think that's going to be actually a blessing in disguise for Morbius, because I think it will probably perform better in April than it would if it came out end of this month. So,
right. Yeah, January tends to be the month where they kind of drop movies off, and like I said, Scream still being released on January 14th. So, but it's usually the month where like a lot of movies come out on Christmas Day, and a lot of people get a chance to catch up on their movies, and especially when Oscar nominations come out, people check out the movies that they didn't see in 2021. They'll check it out in that month in February. So it's just a time to catch up on movies instead of releasing a lot of new movies. So hopefully Morbius will come out on April 1st and won't get changed again, because I think it's been changed many times. The release date has been changed so many times. So but that's all I have to talk about tonight, Wade.
Yeah, me too, man. It was good being on again, and your friendly neighborhood Wade Parker here. Nice being on here to talk about my favorite hero of all time, and now the greatest superhero film ever made, in my opinion. So yeah, thanks, Steve, for having me tonight, and we'll do many more of these. And
appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Everybody have a good night. Please stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. See you, Wade.
See ya.
Bye.